Live from Waterford and the Virgin Media Broadband Studio in Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. The Minister for Health is to discuss the lack of staffing for the South East Palliative Care Centre with Waterford Oireachtas members this week. A planning application has been submitted for a new multi-million euro building for Waterford Institute of Technology. The chance of a Brexit deal appear to have dipped after leaked reports of the UK's proposals for managing the border with Northern Ireland. And in sport, new Waterford senior hurling manager Liam Cowell says the time is right for him to step into a senior inter-county role. The Minister for Health says he plans to discuss the South East Palliative Care Centre with Waterford Oireachtas members on Thursday. The 20-bed unit on the grounds of University Hospital Waterford occupies the first two floors of the new Dunmore wing. However, funding is yet to be made available to recruit the necessary staff. The Department of Health says the unit will cost an estimated €5 million when it's at full capacity. Spokesperson for the department says Simon Harris is due to meet with politicians from the South East on Thursday about University Hospital Waterford, and it will include a discussion about the palliative care unit. Waterford Sinn Féin TD David Culnan says it's a scandal that recruitment hasn't begun.
It's obviously hugely important to the people of Waterford and the South East that we get the resources that we need, and I think it's criminal, as I said, that we have this unit which is built, which is equipped, and yet the staff is not there to open it. So we'll keep pressing this with the Minister for Health. He has to meet us, he has to come to that meeting with the funding on the table so that we can get this unit open as quickly as possible.
He says funding is also needed for the 72 beds above the hospice.
It's crazy that we have 72 beds, which all won't be new beds. A portion of them will, because again, the government hasn't provided the funding. And it's also crazy that we have a state-of-the-art palliative care unit, fully equipped, ready to be opened, and yet they can't open it because of the lack of staff. So the Minister has to get his finger out here. He has to deliver on this. We need to meet him as quickly as possible, but he needs to come to that meeting, come to the table with solutions to ensure that the funding is made available and that the unit can be opened as quickly as possible.
The chances of a Brexit deal appear to have dipped after leaked reports of the UK's proposals for managing the border with Northern Ireland. It suggested having customs posts on both sides of the border but away from the border itself. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
Boris Johnson has backtracked from the leaked proposals. It was revealed last night that the UK's non-paper submitted to the EU plans to manage the border with custom checks on either side. Fianna Fáil's Justice spokesman Jim O'Callaghan agreeing with the Taoiseach that the idea is a non-runner.
Been told by Brexiteers for 2 years that the transition between Northern Ireland and our country would be the same as going from Islington to Camden. So for the first time he has acknowledged that there are going to have to be custom checks.
Boris Johnson's backtracked from the idea of custom centres on either side of the border, telling the BBC that that's not his plan, but refusing to reveal full details.
I think probably at the moment, if you'll forgive me, I would like to veil our proposals in decent obscurity until we've been able to share them properly with our friends.
The Labour leader here, Brendan Howlin, is now sceptical a deal can get done.
Anybody who would submit that sort of proposals at the end of the 3 years of discussion really does not want a deal.
It has cast the UK's plans into doubt. Realistically, if there's going to be a deal done at this month's European Council meeting, concrete, workable proposals to replace the backstop need to be on the table in the next 2 weeks. At the moment, though, the government says it hasn't been given any. Sean Defoe, Leinster House.
A planning application has been submitted for a new multi-million euro building for Waterford Institute of Technology's main campus. WIT President Professor Willie Donnelly says this building, which is the largest single infrastructure investment in the institute, will be a cornerstone in the future development of the Technological University for the South East. Head of the School of Engineering, Ken Thomas, says it will give students access to state-of-the-art infrastructure and a modern student environment.
This is really 20 years in gestation, which seems like an awfully long time, and we've been thinking and planning for this for quite a while. We nearly got there in 2011, but then unfortunately the government finances, as we all know, were under pressure at that time, so it was shelved. And in the meantime, then, this latest incarnation is actually a bigger building and is a more ambitious building for the Institute. It includes engineering, computing and general teaching, so it covers a wide range of disciplines.
He says the project could be completed in 4 years if it all goes to plan.
Obviously, hopefully we get through planning pretty quickly. I mean, that would be in everybody's interest. And after that, then we're in position then to go for tender and construction. I think realistically, you're probably looking at a 4-year window. So you're looking to open in 2022, 23. But none of these details have been agreed yet. But practically speaking, in order to go through the tender process for public procurement and then to go and actually build this rather large building, it's going to take that 4-year window.
Waterford Council has had to launch a special protection area clean-up operation after an extensive amount of rubbish was dumped over the cliff at Benvoy in Anstown last week. People in Waterford are being warned to dispose of their waste responsibly and to use authorised waste collectors. The clean-up involved the assistance of contractors trained in working at heights. Local councillor John O'Leary says the dumping took place within the UNESCO Global Geopark.
What happened in Benvoy in Anstown was a shed clean out or a garage clean out, because what was dumped there was televisions, mattresses and household furniture. It's one of the nicest parts of Waterford, one of the nicest parts of Ireland in fact, and it is disappointing.
He says it's believed it was the work of an illegal waste collector.
They can advertise by way on social media. I don't know if they're common in the county, but there is certainly some people who are willing to do this and who are willing to put the scenery of our county at risk. But it behoves everybody who's getting rubbish removed or taken away by somebody for them that they check that they have a permit to do so, because there is people who are illegally removing rubbish for people, and it ends up then in places like Anstown and Benvoy.
Today is International Day of Older Persons. Events are taking place across Waterford as part of Positive Ageing Week. Sinead Brannigan is Assistant Sports Development Officer with Waterford Sports Partnership. She says they have a fitness class for men only in Dungarvan this afternoon.
The experience of the sports development office here that works with the men is it's very, very difficult to attract men into, say, an open class for men and women. So just to specifically target men is the best course of action there. It's a very introductory level class. It's going to be a bit of fun and just a bit of physical activity. If there's someone with experience of doing exercise in the past, that's okay too, but it's definitely catered for anyone that's a beginner and wants to get a little bit of activity into their life.
And that class takes place at 2 o'clock in the Daysha Daycare Centre in Dungarvan this afternoon.
WLR Sport.
The new Waterford senior hurling manager Liam Cahill says he hopes to have the backroom team finalised within the next 2 to 3 weeks. He was handed a 2-year term with the option of a third at last night's county board meeting in Dungarvan. He'll be joined by coach Mikey Bevans with 2 more selectors from Waterford to be added.
Both Mikey and I are not guys that go for big flamboyant backroom teams or anything to that effect. The right people be in the right jobs to make sure that we create the proper environment for these players to perform.
Liam says he's looking forward to the challenge.
I'm in the business over the last couple of years of challenging players to be the best they can be, and I want to continue to do that obviously, but it's also a challenge for me to step up to an inter-county senior set up that the demands are that bit higher obviously than being involved with an underage team. But it's a challenge that I'm going to really relish. The model in which I work off it today is not going to change a whole lot.
Chairman of the selection committee, Sean Michael O'Regan, says they're close to completing the rest of the backroom team.
We're dotting some I's and crossing some T's, and what I mean by that is, yes, we have a backroom in mind, and yes, we have selectors. They're going to be 2 Waterford-led selectors, and it's a big undertaking to take up these positions, and the people in question have just asked for a little bit more time to talk it through with maybe their employers or with their own family before they can fully commit to it. Well, it's not fully commit to it, they are committed, but they just have a couple of loose ends to tie up, and hopefully in the very near future, Liam Cahill and Mikey Bevans, their full selectors and backroom team, will be ratified by the clubs.
County Board Chairman Paddy Joe Ryan said that media speculation around the position forced them to make an early announcement.
We didn't intend holding this meeting until next Monday night, which will be the first Monday in October, which would give them that chance to have everything tied up. As it is now, we'll probably be notifying the clubs later on this week, and then we'll be notifying the media of the remainder of the back-home team. But we'd have loved to give it all to the County Board tonight, because that's what the County Board is about. The County Board had confidence in this committee that they set up. There was one question about it, but I think myself, the lads were left with no choice, with what happened in the media and all the speculation in the media.
Soccer now, and David McGoldrick and Shane Duffy have both been ruled out of the Republic of Ireland's Euro 2020 qualifiers against Georgia and Switzerland. Duffy picked up a calf injury while playing for Brighton against Aston Villa last week, while Sheffield United striker McGoldrick has a muscle issue. With Richard Keogh out for the rest of the season and Enda Stevens suspended for the game in Georgia, there are call-ups for Blackburn defenders Darragh Lenihan and Greg Cunningham. Wolves' Matt Doherty returns from injury. Shamrock Rovers' Jack Byrne is retained in the squad, but there's no place for under-21 duo Troy Parrott and Aaron Connolly. Tottenham face a huge test in the Champions League when they host European giants Bayern Munich tonight. Spurs start the group stages with an unconvincing draw away to Olympiacos, while the German side comfortably beat Red Star Belgrade. Premier League winners Manchester City take on Dynamo Zagreb. They're looking to make it 2 wins from 2. In rugby, Ireland head coach Joe Schmidt admits picking Gary Ringrose to start a 3rd successive match is a calculated risk. With Chris Farrell concussed and Robbie Henshaw not yet fully fit, Ringrose joins Bundyaki in midfield for Thursday's Rugby World Cup clash with Russia. Schmidt says Ringrose has shown he's ready for a second game in 6 days.
It's a risk, but he is feeling great and he's playing super. You know, I thought Gary was really good last weekend. He was one of the guys who didn't really miss a beat. He was still working really hard.
That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin is at